The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, everybody. How's everybody doing? Happy Thursday. You're listening to me live. Welcome, welcome. If you're on replay, good to see you here. My name is Aaron Mills. I'll be your coach as we're walking through the Faceless video channel strategy training. This is session 1. We have a lot to get through. I have a lot of things to share with you. Excited to dive in. Let me first ask a question. Have you already created a faceless YouTube channel of sorts of any kind, or a faceless Instagram channel, or a faceless channel of any sort? Anybody here? What does it mean, John says? Well, we're talking about a channel where you're creating content. And unlike what we usually cover, which is how do I create content for businesses, although you could leverage this for businesses, we'll talk about that later. We're talking about creating a faceless shorts channel where you essentially are creating content that is primarily entertaining, educational, inspiring, funny, or something of that like. And so this, instead of talking about a specific business or a specific strategy where you're trying to create content for an industry, you're creating content for a much broader audience with the goal of being able to create something that is far more viral and has a lot more reach because it appeals to a much broader audience. So that's what we're doing. We're creating some content on these, and we have a whole strategy I want to share with you that we've just started on this journey. We'll actually build a faceless channel together as well during the duration of this series and watch it get traction or not. This is all about transforming your content creation journey with a system that is going to help you build something very unique and very cool from scratch. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and dive in. I will save time for questions at the end. We will keep the questions today completely focused on this strategy and then maybe some other things if you're stuck in viral vids somewhere. But I'll leave time for those at the end. So if I don't answer your question in the middle, that's perfectly okay. I'm not ignoring you. We'll get to it closer to the end. So let's dive in. Let's get started. What we're going to do in the next 3 sessions is we're going to build from scratch a profitable YouTube channel, but I'll show you how to do it on other channels as well, including Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. But this is no camera, no editing yourself, no personal branding required. This is an entirely faceless channel, and we're going to use the exact video formula that top creators are using to consistently generate millions of views. So what I have for you is I want to challenge you over the next 30 days to create a channel and consistently post on that channel every single day. Every single day. And some of you might even want to do it twice a day, because most of the breakthroughs that people have with these types of channels happen after 20 or 30 videos. Let that sink in again. This is not the kind of thing where you're going to try this out in 3 or 4 videos and say, well, I figured it out, or I didn't figure it out. It's time to give up. This is the kind of strategy where you need to have a lot of content, because we're training the AI algorithm that is watching our content and introducing us to the audiences. But the first thing I want to do is we're going to replace this concept of the algorithm entirely. We're going to get rid of it. We're going to take a note of what guys like Mr. Beast, which is the top YouTube channel in existence, says about this. There's no such thing as the algorithm. There is only the audience. So I want you to think in the future, if people watch or don't watch your video, it was something that the audience liked or the audience didn't like. It's not the algorithm. Don't give yourself that out. Don't give yourself the excuse to say, well, YouTube's algorithm didn't really like this video. Instead, let's be real. People watching didn't like this video. If people did like it, the algorithm would watch that, because that's the only thing the algorithm cares about, is whether people liked the video. Did people watch the video? Did people engage with the video? Right? Did they like it? Did they share it? Did they comment on it? Did they follow you and turn into a subscriber? Did they watch it over and over again? That's what YouTube and all these other algorithms care about more than anything. So the key to this is to create videos that are addictive to watch. That is, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do. So over the next 3 sessions, we're going to break down what that looks like. But let's talk about why most people do not have success with this. 95% of the people who are trying this are going to fail. Number one, because they choose the wrong niche. They go way too broad. Now, keep in mind, if you're already creating channels for, some really niche down industry or business, that's extremely ultra niche down. That's too niche down. That's way too far the other direction. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're not trying to say, hey, can I create the ultimate shorts channel for plumbing or for attorneys or chiropractors or dentists? We're not even in that realm. Transport yourself out of that realm for a minute. And I know some of you are going to have a tough time with that, because you're going to say, well, Aaron, how in the world am I going to monetize these? I promise you, if you can get a channel that gets tens or hundreds of thousands of views or millions of views, there's lots of ways to monetize it, because you're going to have access to the audience. There's even ways we'll talk about where you can kind of position your channel, be more monetizable later. But you need to pick a broad subject area, but you can't go too broad. You can't just say history, any kind of history, like all of history is the channel. It's too broad. It's too wide. If you went something more like scandalous ancient history facts, that is way more niche specific. That's a niche topic. That's way more like what we're talking about. But you'll notice that has very, very broad appeal, right? That's very, very broad appeal. So we're going to choose topics as well that AI can do a really good job of visualizing. Because think about it. If your topic is all about, programming and writing software, how do you even visualize that? It can be done, but that's an uphill battle, right? That's a very uphill battle. And by the way, that's way too niche down. That's way too specific. You got to get much broader than that. You have to pick a niche that has mass appeal. Because at the end of the day, when you do monetize a channel like this, there's 2 kinds of videos you're going to make. And 95% to 98% of those videos are not videos that you're trying to sell something in. So we got to get out of that mindset. We're not trying to sell something in these videos. We're trying to entertain somebody. When we entertain somebody, we need to have something that appeals to a massive group of people. And the reason for that, even though, hey, we might know that, that massive group of people that we're going to monetize this to isn't really our target to monetize to. Maybe our target to monetize to is very, very specific within that group. Maybe it's just a tiny percentage of that group. But if we can make that group big enough, it doesn't matter. And we can get that massive traction. I mean, the most obvious thing you can do with one of these channels is just have the credibility of having done it. Just even being able to say, yeah, I have some viral channels, right? Or I have a viral channel. I have a viral Instagram account. I get tens of thousands of views on there, or hundreds of thousands of views on there. Those bragging rights alone you can monetize in your other business, in your marketing business. But there's a lot of other ways to monetize on top of that. But yeah, fatal mistake number 1, too broad, choosing topics that AI can't visualize. You got to think about it. How visually engaging and interesting can it be? Because it's got to be captivating. People are literally doing this instead of watching Netflix. Keep that in mind. This is the decision in their mind. Should I turn on Netflix? Do I turn on my Disney Plus subscription? Do I get my Amazon Prime Video, app open? Or do I watch these short reels? And a lot of times they're going to want to watch these short reels, right? We call it quote unquote doom scrolling, but they want to be entertained. So if you're not competing with that, you have no chance. You have zero chance. So that's kind of what the game we're trying to play. And the other thing is that People fail at consistency. They post 3 or 4 videos because they're really excited about it, but if they don't get any success, they just kind of give up. They just give up, right? Because in the beginning, now I told you we're going to get away from talking about the algorithm, but at the beginning, it is just the algorithm. You don't have an audience yet because the algorithm hasn't figured out where your audience is. They don't know who to show you. It doesn't know who to show your videos to. It has no idea what kind of person is going to like your videos. So it's just going to put out some test audiences, right? It's going to give you a test audience. And then that video is either the test audience will like it or they won't. They'll react to it or they won't, right? But that's a learning curve. The algorithm and the system has to show your videos to enough people to actually start to give it to the right group. And then when it does, that's where you can achieve much, much more velocity in the viewership of your videos. So don't expect results if you're not putting out at least 20 or 30 videos. Now, the other thing is that you need both quality and quantity. You need a lot of videos, but they can't be junk. They cannot be something that someone's not entertained by, right? Because obviously the audience is the only thing that matters at the end of the day. Their opinion is the only one that counts. So you should be thinking 1 to 2 videos a day with completely unique visuals, right? And generic stock footage or just boring visuals that are not captivating or not engaging or not entertaining, that's not going to work. Now, the cool thing is inside of Viral Vids, you can do that, right? We can do that with a click of a button. That's very easy for us to do. We can do both of those things, in fact, but it is important that we do them. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about more about our, what's our super niche, right? So history, motivation, science, too broad. Get more specific. Think a little bit more honed in, right? Super niche is more like scandalous ancient history facts or dark psychology hacks for everyday life, or places on Earth that look like alien planets. That is way more specific. So you need to be asking yourself these questions when you're picking out a channel, right? What's the visual potential for this channel? How much mass appeal does it have? Is this content going to be evergreen? Meaning, if you're just talking about the latest gadgets and the latest news, that's not going to be interesting in 6 months. I'm sorry, but if you're making a channel about AI, yes, those can be very popular, but it does not have a lot of evergreen staying value. So it's a big trade-off you're making there, right? So you need to have all of these criteria met, or you're going to struggle to get the kind of traction you're trying to get after here. So what are we talking about in terms of visual potential, right? We're talking about history. We're talking about battles, empires, ancient civilizations, right? Those are visually stunning. When we're talking about space, we're talking about planets, galaxies, cosmic phenomena, monsters and mythology, right? We're talking about creatures, legends, gods, and when we're talking about luxury, which is another really good niche, we're talking about like supercars and mega yachts and ridiculous mansions and gold-crusted toilets. And we're talking about nature, we're talking about animals, landscapes, extreme weather. But coding tips and math tutorials and abstract concepts without any visual appeal or really text-heavy explanations are not going to be very good for this. So mass appeal, very important. Evergreen, very important. So here are some really, really proven super niches that you can kind of wrap your head around and might get your gears spinning. One of them is alternative history or mystery. Like, what if the Library of Alexandria never burned? Or the real reason the Mayan Empire disappeared, right? Another one would be, what would you do scenarios, right? So you're trapped in a room with a lion and a pit of snakes. What do you do, right? Or like rapid fire survival quizzes. Another one would be like strangers, Earth facts, places on Earth that look like alien planets or natural phenomena scientists can't explain. Another one that's really, really successful right now is, stoicism or kind of dark psychology. So we're talking about short, punchy life advice, mind hacks, or the way that people are manipulating you, right? And then we're talking about future tech and AI news. then we're talking about, stuff that is extremely virally. It doesn't have an evergreen, but it is extremely virally interesting to people because the newest crazy new technology is interesting. Like this robot just learned how to walk, right? I wouldn't steer you in that direction. I would actually probably steer you more away from that direction. Animal situations, right? Eagle versus drone, or what if scenarios. One that I've seen that's really popular right now as an example of this is that there's a rabbit in its little home with its babies nursing, and then a lion comes and takes it away from the babies, but then a monkey comes and steals it back and then brings it back to its children, right? It's kind of like, oh, look at this cute rabbit. Oh my gosh, a lion's gonna get it. I'm like freaking out. A lion's gonna eat this rabbit. And then, oh my gosh, a monkey came and took the rabbit back. How is that even possible? And oh, look, the monkey actually gave it back to its kids. It's like it's a human behavior. So every single twist and turn of these, right? Every single twist and turn of these is a unique hook that really captures you, right? Luxury and wealth, right? High status lifestyle content, right? Inside the most expensive yacht in the world, right? Space and science. We're talking about mind-bending universal stuff. Like what would happen if you fell into a black hole? Now, I know some of you are asking yourself, still don't understand how this is going to monetize for me. If I'm like, let's say I'm a marketing agency, or I'm a web designer, or I'm an SEO guy. Like, how in the world can I monetize this stuff? Well, number one, just even having this is massive bragging rights. Number two, you could sell one of these channels for a client and actually get paid to create this content for a client. But we'll talk about other strategies as well. But I want you to completely get your head out of the space of how are these videos going to sell somebody? That's not what we're doing. Just flat out. These videos are not selling your services. So if your head is there, your head is in the wrong place. What we're doing is creating entertainment. We're showing you how to do that. It's a completely different way to use viral vids than everything we've ever shown you before. But it's extremely valuable, and it's going to allow you to create content that's extremely viral. And then we'll talk about a myriad of different ways later in these sessions about ways you can monetize them. But at the end of it, you're going to walk away with a skill set of understanding how to create content that has way more viral appeal. And then you'll be able to actually leverage that and use that into every kind of video you're creating, even outside of this course. So that's one of the things that you will walk away with, is an understanding of like, oh, I really understand how to make really viral content, right? I understand, okay, I get why these videos are really getting traction. And then you're going to start to look at the other content you create for businesses and think, oh my gosh, this content I'm doing for them is not getting any traction. And now I can see why. Now I understand what's wrong with it. So if you want to understand how to make truly viral content, or content that has way more reach, then you got to get out of your way in thinking about how is this converting, and start getting into thinking about how can I make content an audience actually cares about. Because here's the secret: if you have an audience, the audience can be monetized many different ways. But first you have to have the audience. And that's the actual trick. That's the secret. Monetizing the audience is not hard. The problem is that, to be frank, if you get an audience big enough, you can make money just creating the content. Google, YouTube will actually just pay you, right? TikTok will just flat out pay you for the number of views you're getting. Like, you can even make money just off of having the content if you can make your audience big enough. And there's lots of other things you can do with it as well. But that said, these are some really, really big niches that get a ton of traction. These are the videos, if you're asking yourself, well, I don't understand how this monetizes, go look at the video channels in these niches. And then go look and see how many views they get. They put out short videos that get millions of views, millions and millions of views, and an enormous amount of watch time. And so all of these become a unique, valuable brand in and to themselves, and they monetize them from many different strategies. But being able to grab a hold of an audience and get their attention is the number one thing we're teaching you here. So I want you to brainstorm some ideas for some super niches, and then you can test them against those criteria. Now, I actually think I want to talk for a minute about some of the channels I've been creating. And one of the channels I've created, which I'm starting on with you guys, is more geared towards a business audience. If I know that at the end of the day, I would like to have a part of my audience be business owners, because those are the people that I'm looking to connect with my other businesses, right? Then you might want to try and pick a niche that really makes sense for that purpose. And likewise, if you were working with a business that had a very specific audience, you might want to build a channel for them in that same fashion, right? Like, for instance, I'm doing some work with a moving company right now. Now, who would be an audience for that moving company? Well, people who are looking to move, people who are investing in houses, people who are, people who are generally older professionals. Like, I could break down their demographics, and then I can say, all right, now I know I need this exact avatar to be a part of my audience, but they can't make up the whole thing, right? Because that's just doing social media. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is building an entirely different channel, an entirely different asset. Just like you might build a media site for somebody and you're trying to build an audience for that media site, you could build a channel that goes with that media site, or you could build a channel as its own standalone thing. And then you could actually leverage that to support the business that owns it or support the clients that you're helping. So if you happen to have a viral channel that was all about really crazy medical facts, do you think if you could go to a doctor or a dentist or a chiropractor and say, yeah, I've got this channel and I've got about 200,000 views on this channel, and thousands of hours of watch time, and I would love to actually put some of your videos, some videos for you on my channel. Do you think they would be interested in that? Of course they would, if you could feature them on your channel. Same thing if you were talking to, I'm trying to think of another obvious example, but you can figure it out, right? Are you guys catching the drift? So give me some 10s in the chat box if this is making sense. Do you see how these things connect? How this is a bigger concept, it's broader, right? You have a website, and that's where you are talking about the company and its goods and services, right? That's where a company is advertising itself. You have a blog, which is where the company is demonstrating the expertise that the company has. You have a media site, so you can give authority to that company. You might build a Faceless channel so you can get additional exposure and also give yourself additional authority and also give them additional authority. So it's kind of along the same vein, along the same lines about why this would be important. But that said, it is also a business in a box in itself. There are a lot of content creators who just want to make money creating content. So if you're listening to me and you're actually here because you're like, I don't care about marketing stuff, I just want to make content that actually gets exposure, then you're also going to learn everything that you need to know to get that ball rolling, to get started with that, and some of the tactics that are working really well right now. So pick one, though, for the next 30 days, right? Pick one niche, figure out one niche. Now, I told you I'm going to talk about the niche I've picked. The niche that I want to build with you guys is I'm actually going to build a niche around stoicism, because I know that motivational, inspirational type content is something that business owners in general are interested in. Now, there could be many, many different things related to motivation and related to psychology and related to business advice and related to investing. There's lots of topics I could choose from, but that's one that seems interesting that I think I could build a channel around. So the channel we're going to build together live is basically we're going to build a bunch of videos around that topic. Now, do you have to choose that topic? Of course not. Be creative. Find an interesting topic, right? Find an interesting topic for yourself. But that would be an example of how that those dots connect, because I know that, you know what, I really want to appeal to business owners at the end of the day. And I know that some segment of the people who are watching these videos, even if it's like 1%, is going to be my target. And the way that I'm going to get to them is by appealing to the other 99% to give me all that free exposure. So you need an account, you need a channel, figure out where you're going to put one first, right? Are you going to put it on YouTube? You know, youtube.com is definitely a good place to start. There are other options. Instagram is also a good place to put channels. A lot of people have success on TikTok. You can even use Facebook pages, right? I just created a Facebook page today for one of my YouTube channels, and I'm going to duplicate it onto there. In fact, I had my first 20 views on that video in the first 20 minutes the video was up. I have no idea how well it'll perform because I haven't tested that yet, but you can think outside the box a little bit if you want, but I'm going to show you some things that I know are working on YouTube. So that's probably a very good direction to go. But come up with a name. I come up with a niche, come up with a name. Think about how that is it catchy, right? Just like creating any other kind of brand. And then I would jump into any kind of AI tool. I use Ideogram for mine, but you could use any AI tool, Midjourney, Ideogram, really Canva, anything. Create yourself a profile pic and a banner, because you're going to need those, right? You're going to need a look, your profile picture is a square image. It's basically just like a logo. I'll show you in a moment what I did for mine. And then you're going to optimize a description for that. And really, you just need a few sentences explaining what your channel is all about. But don't overthink this. We can fix this. We can change this. We can tweak this later. Just, if you spend more than 10 minutes on this, you kind of went down the wrong rabbit hole. Now, once you have that, you need to understand two things, right? Because this is really, at the end of the day, what the algorithm's looking at. It looks at the audience and says, how much of your video that people watch on average? And you need it to be more than 100%. Did you catch that? Our end goal here is actually to get an average percentage viewed of over 100%. How do we do that? Doesn't that even sound impossible? Does that make sense? If anyone's confused, give me a 1 in the chat box right now. Okay, so a few people. So when we create a video and we put it on this channel, we need to know how much of our video are people watching. Do they watch the first 5% of the video, the first 10% of the video? No, we need them to watch 100% of the video all the way to the end. But then we need them to watch it again. And even maybe again after that. They're only 60 seconds long. Some of them are not even that long. They might be like 45 seconds. So if you're putting up a 45-second video, what you're hoping is that someone will watch it, and then watch it again, and then maybe even watch it again. And that's how you get an over 100% average percentage of view time. And so there's some tricks to that. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can do that and how some of my videos are already doing that. So the next thing you need to understand is the swipe away rate. And this is really important. This is how many people are swiping away in the first 1 to 3 seconds of your video. As you start putting videos up, people are going to be scrolling through their feed, and they land on your video and they stay through that first few seconds, or they leave, is really controlled by your hook. So as the first couple sentences of your video, if the first sentence of your video doesn't engage them, draw them in, and hook them and say, you've got to stick around for this because something's about to happen, then your video's not going to perform. You have to have a really strong hook. So we're going to explain how we can do that as well. But the first 10 to 20 videos, YouTube is only going to show them to small test audiences. It's trying to understand who your audience is. It's also going to do some geographic testing, and having a low view count is expected. It is expected. We're not expecting you to have 2 million views at this point. That should not happen. That's not going to happen. Now, if you happen to be an absolute master at creating these videos, yeah, there are people in the world who really could create a video and get 1 million views on that very first video on a blank channel. That does happen, but that's really uncommon. That's extremely rare, right? That's extremely, like, we would never expect that to happen. That would just be like crazy, right? But once you understand what you're doing with your videos, you're dialing in your end, you're watching what's happening with your videos, and you're trying to improve every single time, and you're watching what's happening with your videos, and the algorithm is learning who actually likes watching your videos. What's going to happen is it's going to start showing your videos to the right people, and then you're going to get more likes and more shares and more subscribers. And that's not going to happen in the beginning. That's going to happen, much later on, right? So that might happen in 10 or 15 days if you're putting out a couple of videos a day. It might happen in a month and a half if you're doing it much slower. But that is where, and there's no guarantee of success, guys. There's no guarantee of success, but there is a guarantee that this is the strategy people who are having success are using. So if you're going to be amongst them, this is what they're doing, right? Because they tell us. It's not, none of this is a secret. The truth is, creating these highly engaging, successful channels is not like some secret. The reality is that lots of people do it, and how they did it is pretty obvious. So for your own sake, you have to decide, all right, I'm going to lock in and I'm going to do this and I'm going to make this happen. But I'm here for the long run. I'm here to, I'm not going to stop until I've done, 30 videos, 50 videos, 100 videos. If you know how long Mr. Beast was making videos for years before he ever had any success. Every single day for years. Hundreds and hundreds of videos before he had any real success. Right now, he's literally the #1 YouTube channel in the world because he figured out he earned basically like a doctorate in experience on how to make videos that people are extremely likely to watch and engage with. Right, and we don't have to do that, but we do have to have some level of experience, and we do have to try, and we have to actually make the effort. So don't quit when you're in the valley of despair. Right? 95% of people are not going to make more than 10 or 15 videos. They really aren't. They really aren't. So what I would challenge you to do is actually give this your all for a period of time. And your all doesn't mean you're spending all day on this. Your all just means you're doing it consistently. So let's get out of the slides. Let's actually look at some videos. Let's look at some ideas. Does that sound good? What do you guys think? Give me some 10s if you actually want to see some, you're ready to actually see some videos. Before we bore you to death with theory, let's actually look at some videos here. All right. I'm going to show you a couple of examples of videos that I've made. It will be a good start. Does that sound cool? And then we'll actually go to the web here. So here is one. This one's fun. Now this one has not gotten any traction yet, but this one I think has a lot of potential. But I think that finding its audience is going to be more difficult. But it's extremely niche. It's extremely niche. And this is more like that altered history kind of approach. So before a couple of you have seen this, but let me go ahead and play it for you. Get it to load up here.
Ancient humans exhibited many odd behaviors, but none more baffling than their devotion to this tiny ritual object. Our researchers believe it was used in daily combat against invisible mouth spirits. Notice the bristled end, clearly engineered for close quarters battle. Humans stored these sacred weapons beside porcelain altars, suggesting each day began with a ceremonial confrontation. Some civilizations even decorated them with vibrant colors, perhaps to intimidate rival tribes. Holographic reconstructions show humans gripping the handle fiercely, performing rhythmic strikes as a show of dominance. Curiously, these weapons were replaced every few lunar cycles, implying they weakened after repeated spirit encounters. Scholars still debate whether the ritual was defensive or purely symbolic. Yet one mystery remains. Why would an entire species rely on such a small tool for survival? And this question leads us to our ongoing investigation into how
I want you to notice that video feels incomplete because it leads us into our ongoing investigation as to how
ancient humans exhibited many odd behaviors, but none more baffling than their devotion to this tiny ritual object.
Does that make sense? So it loops. It loops. And on all these platforms with shorts, you will find the videos loop. They're meant to do that. They're meant to grab your attention. And so if you end your script and then begin your script again in a way that makes obvious sense, like you feel like you're just continuing to watch the video, you don't really know where it starts and where it ends. And so you just keep watching. And that's what it is that we're doing here. So there's one. Let me show you another one. Entirely different niche entirely.
You have the wrong idea about the Mongol Empire. First, they basically invented Amazon Prime. Their postal system, called the Yam, had stations with fresh horses every few miles. Riders could travel 200 miles a day, meaning information crossed the empire faster than in Europe 600 years later. Then there is the warrior princess Kutulu. She refused to marry any man unless he could beat her in a wrestling match. If he lost, he had to give her a horse. She died unmarried with a massive collection of 10,000 horses. But their weirdest rule was about royal blood. They believed noble blood should never touch the ground. So instead of beheading rivals, they wrapped them in carpets and trampled them to death with horses. It just goes to show why you have the wrong idea about the Mongol Empire. First, they basically invented Amazon Prime. Their post.
All right. So, okay, is this starting to make sense? Is it starting to make sense, the kinds of videos that we're talking about creating here? So it's entertaining. It's entertaining, right? Robin says the toothbrush video is hilarious. Yeah, I think it's hilarious. Now, it hasn't had any traction yet, but I haven't really had a chance to work on that channel very much because that specific video is actually much harder to create. But we will in the future. And I'll show you how I actually do that because I use some additional things I tweak to make that kind of a video because it's so unique in itself. But yeah, all of these videos, Daryl, were made inside of Viral Vids. 100% of these were made inside of Viral Vids. So if we look at this channel here, this is the brand new one. There's no videos in here yet that we're going to build together. Right, there's nothing in here yet. This literally, I just set this up today. This is empty, but we will fill this up. We will release the very first video for this either tonight or tomorrow. And then what will happen is that every single day, new videos will go onto this channel and this channel will start to grow. Or it won't. We will see. Every channel is an experiment, right? Every channel is an experiment. Now, this is an entirely different channel. And this is one I've been working on over the last week. And you can see 1,300 views, 1,800 views, 1,300 views, 1,300 views, 1,600 views, 1,000 views. And then this one, this 231 view, this one flopped. This one didn't do well. This one right here is brand new.
You have the wrong idea about the Mongol Empire.
So this is the video we just watched. It's already got 21 likes on it. and the analytics in that screen are old. Let me tell you what the analytics in this video actually is. I'm going to pull it up in my mobile app. You'll find that the YouTube mobile app is actually where you want to look at this stuff. So if I look in my YouTube mobile app, I can see more live stats. It actually has 556 views, 21 likes, and 2 shares so far. And it's only been published for 7 hours. So is it making sense, guys? Has anybody else, have any of you published a video that had over 500 views and 21 likes and 2 shares in the first 7 hours? I'm not saying none of you have. Hopefully some of you actually have had that happen. But I know a lot of you have said before that you have not had that kind of success with your videos, right? So my goal in this series is to show you exactly how I'm doing this, because literally every video I'm putting out there,
You have the wrong idea about
is getting traction, right? All of these videos are basically getting over 1,000 views. This video,
ancient Egypt was actually
has got 36 likes on it. This video is from yesterday. This is only 24 hours old. It's well over 1,000 views. So practically every view I put out, every video I put out is getting over 1,000 views. Now, when I'm making videos for businesses, sometimes I can get a video that's got 1,000 views on it. But on this channel, I'm doing it literally every single time. And this channel already has 18 subscribers. It's only a week old. It's only a week old. It's already got 18 subscribers on it. So now multiply that, because the exposure will increase over time as it finds the audience. So if I can continue with this channel every single day for the next several months, you can imagine how many subscribers this channel is going to have, right? You can imagine how many people are going to have liked and shared these videos. And so all of a sudden, this becomes something I can show to a potential client and say, look at some of the stuff we do with AI. Here's a viral channel that I've got that's got however many tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of views it's got at that point. Likewise, these channels have there is the chance that one of these channels could become
ancient Egypt was actually
extremely
way weirder. Ancient Egypt was way more bizarre than your history book.
Here's another one very similar, right? I had some success with this one, so I got 53 likes on it, so I just made another one about Egypt. Now, great question. John's asking, is the demographic of this type of AI generated videos mostly a younger generation? No, it's not. It is mostly millennials, Gen X, and boomers. It is not mostly a younger generation. They're watching other stuff. They're watching what the young kids call brain rot. Right now, we might call this brain rot. They're watching something like way dumber. So these videos get a ton of visibility. They get an enormous amount of visibility really, really fast. I mean, I can't imagine, keep in mind, guys, that I've actually had a travel YouTube channel in the past. That channel's not around anymore, but I used to travel full time in and around the United States and Canada. And I had a travel YouTube channel for a while. And I would have videos that would get, sometimes we'd get thousands of views on them. But that was like an absurd amount of work. And just getting a video where someone will watch the whole thing is nearly impossible, right? Getting people to watch the whole thing is, so creating long form content and actually trying to be a full-time creator where you're creating a YouTube channel. I wasn't full-time at it, but I was certainly putting lots and lots of hours into it. It's extremely difficult, and the learning curve is extremely high. What we're able to do with viral vids in these videos is wild. It is absolutely wild. If you look at the channel analytics here on these videos. So this channel is basically a week old, and I did not have a chance to create videos for about 3 or 4 days there, which is not good for this channel, by the way. I would have way more views if I had created channels during that, videos during that time. It shows 16 on here. It's actually 18 if you go to the channel. That's possible that one of my friends or a couple of my friends have subscribed. But these 16, 100% were just people that came off the videos, right? Like this video got 7 subscribers off of it. It has over 9 hours, almost 10 hours of watch time. Can you imagine? Think about that. 10 hours of watch time off a video. It's only 60 seconds long. That's wild, right? That's incredibly, like, this blows my mind. This blows my mind. So now all of these, you'll notice, are fairly sensational, right? Some of them almost border on being like offensive in the content. They're not quite there, but there are other channels who will do that. So you will notice that people who have content that's like, you know, like you wouldn't want to watch it in the same room with your parents, right? Because it would feel uncomfortable or weird. And so I'm not suggesting you make videos like that, but I am suggesting that you need to talk about like stuff that's really actually interesting. It's actually gonna really be interesting. Now, one of the tricks, the way that I'm creating these that I'm having a lot of success with, is that I am developing my scripts before I put them in viral vids. I'm doing them outside of viral vids, right? Now, now someone's asking like, what kind of numbers can we get for a dentist? Well, you're not going to get these kinds of numbers for a dentist if the dentist is only making like tooth tips. If you're making videos about like, you know, tips for teeth and stuff like that, that's not, does it fit the qualification to have mass appeal, right? Not necessarily. Now, how would you do this for a dentist? Well, if you wanted to do it in a more broad sense about like maybe the history, the dark history of medicine, or like weird facts about you know, weird facts about anatomy and biology, or weird, you know, like you could probably find a super niche related to a dentist and build them a channel that could have this kind of reach or more. But you have to be creative in the way that you approach it. Because if you just make videos about like dentistry, yeah, no one cares, right? No one cares. Now, is that good for their social media? Yeah, it's amazing for their social media, right? Because they can actually create something fairly entertaining and interesting, but that's just kind of like more ordinary everyday social media content. For a channel like this, where we're getting every single video is killing it, and we're really engineering the content to say, how can we make the channel explode? Then we cannot talk about boring stuff. It's all got to be interesting. Now, could you do that for a dentist? You could. And when we're done with this, you could do that, but you're gonna have to take your own creativity to figure that out. In every single instance you do it in, it's gonna be a little bit different. But could you do it? 100% you could do it. You just have to be creative and think outside the box. And then also, again, what you're learning here is gonna help you understand when I am creating you know, videos that appeal to, you know, maybe moms, and I'm pairing it with like a media channel or some other site that's related for moms in that market. Well, how do I make those the most successful they can be, right? Now, if you can get a video in front of like 200 or 300 moms around a local dentist and they're all the target audience, that's pretty incredible, right? That's pretty incredible. It doesn't look as flashy as getting one of these videos. Like if this video, like these videos are getting like 10,000 views, 20,000 views on them, obviously that's going to look a lot better. But again, it's all relative. It's all relative. Can you show how to upload scripts from outside of viral vids? I'm going to show you how I even come up with these ideas for these. Here is my conversation with Google AI Studio. And I said, all right, these are great. I've got these channels, and I'll show you other channels I have as we go along, because this isn't the only channel. These aren't the only channels I have. But for today, I'm kind of exposing these ones. But that said, I said to myself, these channels are great. I'm trying a variety of different niches that are interesting to see what works really well. But I really want to create something that's going to resonate with business owners, because you know what? I can sell them marketing. So it's going to make a lot of sense. So I asked, and I will share this with you guys in a minute, what are the most successful Faceless YouTube channels for shorts that are focused on business owners as an audience? And it gave me some ideas. Luxury and mindset giants, right? Business news and visual data channels, AI and tool hustle, podcast clippers, marketing breakdown channels. Now, not all of these make sense for viral vids, right? Like a podcast clipper channel. No, I don't really, it's not really great, right? We're not trying to clip videos. It has really nothing to do with what we're doing. So this idea doesn't make sense. AI tool hustle. Now, this could, but again, like this stuff really requires like showing this computer screen and recording it and then uploading them. This is a huge amount of work. We cannot easily do this inside of viral Vids. Now, could we do it? Yeah, we could. I could show you how. It's not, this is not a direction I would go down. You're talking about a lot of work to do this. Business news and visual data channels. No, this doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So I don't love these ideas. I think, you know, these are not, they're not really what I'm after. So I said, are there any that are more like business success quotes or inspiration or self-help related? Because I think that content is going to be far more suited to something like what we're doing inside of viral Vids. So cinematic speech aggregators, modern Stoic channels. This is where I got the idea. I've seen these channels before. These channels can be very interesting, right? Visualized book summary channels, dark luxury aesthetic channels, audiobook wisdom niche, right? So again, and with any of these, you could go look at, you know, they're talking about specific channels like Millionaire Mentor, Wealthy Mind, The Success Club. You can go look at these channels and say, what kind of videos are they making? Do these videos make sense for me, right? So I went and looked at some of these Stoic channels and said, yeah, this makes sense. I could make videos that will be really engaging and interesting that still include my target audience as part of what I'm creating. So this made a lot of sense. So this is where I arrived at this. Now, I said, I want to do a Stoic channel, but it needs to be highly visual and a style visually of ancient Rome, right? So then I gave it this prompt. I want you to extract the script out of this YouTube video. I took is one of the most successful YouTube channels. I just grabbed one of the shorts randomly off of one of the most successful short channels of all time. And I said, I want you to grab this script and write another script that's very similar that loops, and it has an incredible hook, and the entire script has to be 150 words or less. I'm telling you, I want a script that'll fit inside of viral Vids because we have 150 words to work with. So this is a script for a voiceover for a viral video, but instead a Stoic style video. So you could take this exactly what I've done and just swap out that line for whatever kind. You know, if you want to do inspiration, if you want to do, you know, like you could do something if you're, you know, are you focused on like Christian business owners? You could do a Christian, you know, like this could be like religious stuff. Are you focused on something that's more about like self-help related things? You could have incredible self-help, you know, strategies or psychology. Like there's all kinds of other directions you could go with this. This is just the direction I went. So please don't limit yourself to my creativity. Use your own creativity to create your own channel. Now, what it did is it broke down the script. It created a new one and it kind of explains the visuals. I thought that's great. I said, now just give me the script by itself. So here's the script by itself. And by the way, I did all of this about 3 hours ago, right? So I've been building a bunch of these channels and other videos, but this process for this specific channel we're building together is only a few hours long, a few hours old. So the reason your empire is crumbling is simple. And then it ends with listen closely because, so notice how it loops. I can read listen closely because the reason your empire is crumbling is simple. You're a slave to your own emotions. You're like Caesar. To rule like Caesar, you must master these 3 laws of steel, right? So anyway, so I grab all this and kind of haphazardly, to be honest, I didn't really spend a lot of time on it. I took it into viral Vids and I said, let's create a new video. This is that video. I chose fantasy, I chose drama as music, I chose premium images, and I just put that script in. Now let's go open the editor and take a look. Let's actually create this first video for the channel. Now in the meantime, I said, let's create that video. And now I said, I need a channel description. I need an image to prompt to create a banner image as a collage of famous Stoics, right? I figured that would make a good banner. And so it gave me a description. You'll notice the description on the YouTube channel is this description. You'll notice, in fact, I probably need to look for this because I'm not sure I took it out when I pasted it in. And then I took this prompt and I went over to Ideogram and I just created an AI image real quick, right? And that's where we arrive here. Here's that AI image, right? Looks like that. Here is the, here's the logo I created. And sure enough, that channel name thing is just stuck there. So I'll just go ahead and grab the name of my channel, which is Ancient Daily Wisdom. Put it in there, Ancient Daily Wisdom. There we go. That's good. I can go ahead and save it. Let's go ahead and publish this again. Okay. So hit more. There we go. Cool. All right, we're good. So let's go back to Viral Vids. We've got our channel ready to go. Ideogram, Jay, yes, Ideogram is the name of the, now you can use any tool you want, right? There's lots of AI image generators. It doesn't really matter which one you choose as long as you are happy with it. So this is what it created for us. And I think I've swapped the music out. I didn't love the music it gave me at first. Went to music, and I think I chose, yeah, I think that's the one I chose. Anyways, so let's watch this video so far.
The reason your empire is crumbling is simple. You are a slave to your own emotions. To rule like a Caesar, you must master these 3 laws of steel. 1, suffering is not an interruption, it is the training. When the market bleeds, the weak panic, but the stoic sharpens his blade. 2, speak only when your words are stronger than your silence. The king does not negotiate with noise, he executes. 3, memento mori, you can leave life right now. Stop stressing over quarterly profits and start building a legacy that cannot die. If you are ready to conquer yourself, comment strength. Listen closely because...
And then it starts over again. All right. So, where do we paste the script in? We can show you that in a minute. That's very easy, right? That's very easy. And if you would look for it when you're creating a video, you will find it. Now, what I'm going to do here is I want to make some edits to this, and we're going to finish this video and actually publish it. So I think all the screens look fine. I didn't have any issues with them. They're very, very visually like, visceral, which is what we want, right? They look very like, artistic and kind of wild. That's what I'm after. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to rendering frames. I'm going to grab all of them. I'm going to go to image to video, and I'm going to push them all through VO3. It's going to cost me about 70 credits, and I'm going to push all of these through. Now, you notice I didn't get rid of any frames. I could have come to frame 9 and got rid of this, and it would have cost me a few less credits. That would have been okay, but I'm not worried about it. But again, you could have saved a few credits there. Now, those are all generating, so we'll turn all these into full motion videos using VO3, which is awesome. But now I'm going to come to captions because I want to change the way the captions look. I want to make them more visually I want them to capture your attention. So I'm going to change them. I'm going to change the number of words on the screen to only 2. And then I'm going to make the font much bigger. And then I'm going to push it up in the middle of the screen. Okay. So now, I'll go back to captions here. It's a little maybe too high. About like that. Okay. So now they're in the middle of the screen. Now I'm going to add a shadow to them. I like the way that looks. I'm going to turn my blur all the way up. We'll build some more of these videos along the way, guys. So if I'm moving too fast for you, don't worry. We'll have a chance to look at more of these along the way. But now that's very visually interesting to me. I like that. So now that I've got that done, I'm going to go through every individual frame because I don't like the way the punctuation looks in these when I'm only showing 2 words and they're that big in the middle of the screen. So I'm going to click on this frame. I'm going to go to individual frame overlays. I'm going to go to captions for that frame. And I'm going to delete the punctuation. I don't need the 3 dots. All right, I don't need the period here. Let's go to the next one, do the same thing. Of course, you can always watch this in a replay if you're worried you're not going to remember all this. Don't worry, we got you. And once you've done this once, it'll be very easy to remember how to do it. Click on the frame, click on individual frame overlays, upper left-hand corner, click on frame captions, and just get rid of the punctuation. And you can do this however you want. How did I get the idea for this? I didn't invent this idea. I just saw that one of the biggest channels out there was doing this. And so I said, I want my captions to look like that. And the cool thing about viral vids is we can do a lot of little things to these. We can make them look how we want. So you might see some channel that you really like that has captions that look a little different than ours in here, and you can adjust them and try your own thing. But that's the kind of detail we're looking for. I want to know everything about the channels that I'm copying to see how they're doing it. Don't try and invent the wheel. Don't try and just do it just kind of willy-nilly, just be creative. Go see what people who are having success are doing and try to mimic it. That is a much, much better strategy. Now, in another training, I'm going to show you how you could use the script generator inside of Viral Vids to pretty much get the same effect in terms of the script. Like, you don't have to use a script from, from VO3. That's just how I've been doing it. Does that mean you have to do it that way? No, of course not. There's a great script generator inside of Viral Vids. You can use that, but VO3 is great. Or rather, Gemini 3 is great. So, but it's very easy to add one line to the end of any script and then make that script so it's very easy to loop, right? It's just it's just like the last thing it says at the end there. It says, listen closely because, right? You could say that at the end of any video and then immediately make the video seem like it's on a loop. And there's lots of other phrases like that, and I'll give you a whole bunch of them. But okay, so the last thing I want to do at the end here, I'm going to click on this, and I want to go ahead and turn the fade to black off, because the last frame of your video will naturally be set to fade to black. I don't want it to do that because I want it to loop, right? So I don't want it to feel like it's over. I want it to feel like it's just still going. So I'm going to turn the last one off, turn it to none for that transition. Let's go watch it again now that we got some videos and see how it turned out.
The reason your empire is crumbling is simple. You are a slave to your own emotions. To rule like a Caesar, you must master these 3 laws of steel. 1, suffering is not an interruption, it is the training. When the market bleeds, the weak panic, but the stoic sharpens his blade. 2, speak only when your words are stronger than your silence. A king does not negotiate with noise, he executes. 3, memento mori. You could leave life right now. Stop stressing over quarterly profits and start building a legacy that cannot die. If you are ready to conquer yourself, comment strength. Listen closely because...
And then it's going to start over again. Now, you could approach this with an entirely different aesthetic, right? Entirely different aesthetic. The last thing I did is I said, I want you to give me a director's notes prompt, right? So I told it I want it to give me director's notes, and then I copied this in the director's notes to try and give it a very distinct visual style. Now, I don't know how much of this style was used and how much is naturally what Viral Vids would have done, but ideally you want to give all the videos on your channel some kind of similarities. They don't all have to look exactly the same, but you want to, you don't want to do like a bunch of fantasy videos and a bunch of cartoon videos and a bunch of realistic looking videos. Like, pick one aesthetic, pick one look, and make them all look the same. So this video looks good to go though. Any thoughts, any feedback? Any thoughts, any feedback? Does this make sense? Anything I didn't catch on this video you think we should change before I push it out? I'm curious to see what this video does. Jay says you're good at this. Well, Jay, I just done a bunch of these now, right? I'm not really that great at it, to be honest. I just made a bunch of videos for last week. And so as I make more videos, I'm getting better and better at it. And that's going to happen to you too as you make more of these videos. What's my aesthetic? This is the fantasy, right? These are fantasy. This is like a fantasy aesthetic, and some of it's being chosen by the script. So we'll get into monetization in the future session. We're not going to dive further into that right now because it's a whole rabbit hole. I think the words are too far up. Yeah, are they not in the middle? Because I'm trying to put them in the middle. If you guys think they're not in the middle, let me know. They feel like they're in the right place to me. They block the images, they do, but that's fine because a lot of people don't have their sound on when they're watching these things and they're reading them. And I want those words to suck you in. I want those words to grab your attention and just suck you in and make you want to watch. Right, but they do block the images. But that's the choice that I'm making because I saw one of the most successful channels ever is doing that. So I said, well, that's interesting. Let's try it. Right. All right. How much SEO am I doing with these? Let me show you the rest of the process, guys, that I'm doing to these right now. Next steps. Now, this is part of my auto market business, like, which is part of an agency, because all these channels are associated with that agency. Go to the next steps here. Yeah, I considered other fonts. Yeah, I mean, you could, right? And you can. And now keep in mind, just because I'm doing it this way doesn't mean you have to do it exactly like this. I got the idea for the way this looks based on other channels I was watching. Go find channels. That's number one. Go find a channel that you think serves the purpose you want to serve and build one like that channel, right? Build one like that channel. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave it syndicate today. Networks, let's choose Ancient Daily Wisdom, which is the network we're trying to push to. I'm going to look for anything. This is auto market digital on there because it doesn't make sense for this video. Sometimes it'll add that to the end of the description. All the rest of this looks good. You can kill the tag there. All right, the rest of this looks good. I'm not editing any of this. This is all ready to go. And I'm going to go ahead and produce the video. So that video is now in production and it will get published. You can see I've got one on the ancient Mayans going out tomorrow. I've got one on ancient Greece going out on Saturday, and I've got one on Julius Caesar going out on Sunday. Now those are all for this channel, right? That's all in this channel right here. So I spent probably a total of an hour at most getting all those videos ready today. Probably less than that, honestly. But I'm batching them, right? I'm building these in batches. So I'm building 3 or 4 days worth. I'm not going to every day go in and make a new video. I'm just going to build 3 or 4 days worth. On Sunday, I'll go make some more. So I have it pretty much rolled out for the rest of the week. Gordon says, if we're creating a channel like this and we want to connect it to a client's media site, would you use some of the hashtags connected to the media site? Yeah, you could, Gordon. You totally could, right? Now, how would you connect this to a media site? Well, you could connect this, like if you're doing a health-related media site, you could do a channel related to that media site. You could even link to that media site inside of the descriptions. And you could do, just think about making sure your content has really broad appeal. That's kind of the secret. As long as the content is really broad appeal, then the branding could really fit in with whatever it is you're doing. Do I ever have problems with the music? Sometimes the music has issues, but very rarely, right? None of these videos have had any issues with the music. And that's only an error on YouTube's side when it happens. But I have occasionally had a problem with music. Do I boost them on Facebook? No. So this is the Facebook. This is that Facebook. Let's take a look at it here. It's got 50 views already. Thing's only been there a couple of hours. I published this like an hour before we started today, something like that. So 2 hours ago, and it's already got 50 views on it. And I haven't put the rest of the videos on, right? If I start building this up, right? Now this one follower is me, by the way, so it hasn't gained me any followers yet. But it's already got 50 views on it. And if I start adding these same videos, right? I did all that work. I spent all those credits. I made these videos. I can use them all here. I can use them all on Instagram. I can use them all on TikTok. I can build out channels in multiple places. It doesn't all have to be just there. And I could syndicate them, right? I can connect this and syndicate all future videos to also go here. There's no reason not to do that. In fact, I will. I definitely will. Now let me share. Do you guys want to see this channel? I'm gonna drop the link to this channel in here. All that I ask is if you go watch a video, please give it a like. It helps it, obviously. And as we start to build these channels out, then I would love to do some view shares, right? Only thing I ask is don't click on a video and then click right off of it. If you click on a video, watch it. Watch the whole thing. Don't hurt the statistics, the stats. Don't hurt the stats on the video. If you're gonna watch it, give me the 60 seconds. This is the channel. But one of the things we can do for each other is as we're all building on our channels, we can go have watch parties where we're going to say, all right, everyone's going to go pick 5 people's channels and go watch some videos on it and like a bunch of them and become a subscriber on a bunch of them and give each other a little bit of a boost, which is super helpful in the beginning, right? It's super helpful in the beginning. So that's something that I'm certainly interested in doing. When does YouTube flip the switch on paying you? Scott, we'll get into all of that in the future. Because there's YouTube's not the only place, and there's a mix of them, but you got to have you got to meet their bare minimum requirements. You got to have lots and lots and lots of watch time. So it's got to be a channel much bigger than this. But again, this is a baby channel, right? This is a baby little fledgling channel. This is just just starting out. I can see John just subscribed to the channel. Thanks, John. By the way, guys, you need to have the YouTube mobile app because you can only set the thumbnails for these inside your YouTube mobile app. You cannot set them on the studio, right? You cannot set them on the studio. Robin, I think the idea, I don't know, like I think that the name is cool, but the idea has to be what's the content? And that's all I want you to think about. Think to yourself, I make this video. Are people going to be interested in watching it? Will lots of people want to watch it? One of the questions you can ask is, will my kids want to watch it? Will my parents want to watch it? Will my friends want to watch it? And if the answer is yes to all of those, that's got really broad appeal. Does that make sense? Yeah, find that channel in the chat. The video, no, that video we just created was for Ancient Daily Wisdom. In fact, let me share this one with you guys too. So this is the other channel. This first one was the one I made that's got all the views on it, so you can go see it for yourself. This one is the one we're making together. This is the one that we'll track the progress of. And when we come back in a week, there will be 7 videos on this channel. There will be 7 videos on this channel. Yeah, so for these videos, you cannot go into YouTube Studio. And if I go to my content here in YouTube Studio, and I go to Shorts, oh, I'm in the wrong one. Well, either way, if you go to these videos in YouTube, inside of the Google YouTube Studio, you cannot set the thumbnails in here. You have to choose the thumbnail. You're going to choose a thumbnail from the video, but you can't do that in here. Notice how I made a mistake and I didn't edit my captions on this video because I was in too much of a hurry. See how the captions are different? I don't like that. That's aesthetically not matching the rest. I don't that's not good. And I don't like the thumbnail on this one, but it's got the most views. I think this one's actually closer to like 1,800 views if I remember right. Maybe not. No, it's 1,600. Either way. So yeah, it's going to set a thumbnail automatically, but you can't choose it unless you have the mobile app. So you're going to want to have the mobile app so you can actually select it. So my challenge to you is go create your, now, if you're brave enough, go inside of the Facebook group, go to the Strategic Marketer Insiders Facebook group. If you guys are members of our partner community, please put it in the Insiders Facebook group, not the partner community Facebook group. We're going to try to do everything for this class inside the Insiders Facebook group. So if you're brave enough, go create your first video on your channel and post it. Go create your channel and post it. If you guys do, if you create your channel and you create your video and you post it, then I'll give you guys 300 credits. It's in Facebook, Randy. If you don't see it in your list of groups, then search for it. If you don't see it there, message David Strategic and get access. And I can show you how to do that right now. If you go to Real Strategic Groups, if you go to facebook.com/Real Strategic Groups, which is right here. I'll put that link in the chat. If you're not a member of that group, guys, go here and say, hey, I'm inside of the Facebook. I'm inside of the Faceless channel video training. I need access to the group, and we'll send you an invite. But you got to friend David Strategic and send him that message. Yeah. So if you are brave enough to go to the Insiders group and share your channel and your first video, really just your first video, go in, share your first video, and just explain, I'm building a Faceless channel. Here's my first video. Now, why would you do that? Now, some of you are going to be scared to do it because you're going to like, wow, everyone's going to copy me. Well, they could, right? They could. Now, I hope you don't. I hope you guys are better than that, but you could, right? I'm sure some of you, not lots of you, but some of you will copy me, I'm sure. But that said, that's okay. Not the end of the world, right? There's room enough for multiple channels in the world. Like there's an ocean of people watching these videos. So it's not a big deal. But number two, if you post it, people will come watch it and then they'll like it and then they'll watch it maybe 2 or 3 times. And when they do, it's going to help you. It's going to help your channel. So it's actually in your best interest to do this. So my suggestion is go and share and say, I'm creating a Faceless YouTube channel, and say anything positive about viral vids, and share the video inside of that Insiders group. And for everybody that does that, before we come back to the next class next week, I will give you 300 credits. I'll award them all next week. I'll have on next Thursday morning, we will be looking for everyone who's done it. Now, if you go create one, I promise you, I will go and watch your videos. I will go and watch your videos. In fact, I will promise you this. I will leave a comment on every single video. If it's your first video on your channel, I'll go personally leave a comment on every single one of them. So, by the way, comments, likes, shares, all that stuff is super helpful. Like that's what you want, right? That is what you want. So let me get some feedback. Who here is going to go create a channel, and who here is going to go and share it? Give me a 10 in the chat box if you're in. Now, also, let me get some 5s in the chat box. If you are feeling a little confused or you're not sure why this would be valuable, or you're feeling like, I don't know if this makes sense for me. It's okay, right? If that's you, it's okay. Yeah. So lots of you are in, and I got a few people who are a little bit on the sidelines. They're not sure this makes sense. So it's the same reason why your media site is valuable. Does that make sense? It's literally the same reason. Why is your media site important? Like why is it worth it to have a media site? Like why would you care? Right? You're not gonna, if you created a media site and it's the name of the brand, you miss the point of a media site altogether. Now, if you're going to create a media site for, let's say Denver, let's say you're creating a site for Denver, and it's all about health and wellness. Having a YouTube channel that has the same brand name, that has this kind of content, that's all extremely broad, that gets lots and lots and lots of visibility, is only going to help your media site. Does that make sense? And being able to feature people on that channel works exactly the same way as featuring people on your media site. So literally, even if all you're doing with this channel is creating something that gets lots of traction, so that you can then go to business owners and say, yeah, I've got a YouTube channel called Denver Healthy Living. And our videos get thousands of views on there, and I'd love to make a video about your business. If even that's all you do with this channel, that's 100 times worth it. Does that make sense? So now that's just one aspect, right? That's one aspect. Like we've talked about, leveraging, I'm an editor. If you've got a media site, hey, it's about leveraging that I'm an editor of this website. Well, now you're just leveraging I'm a producer, which is the same power play. It is the same power play that you're leveraging. But for a lot of you, you've tried creating some videos and you struggled to get videos that actually have traction or get visibility. Well, I'm telling you, you're approaching it the wrong way. You're doing it wrong. And your videos don't have any views on them because you're creating content that's too niche specific and you're trying to sell something in every video. You're worried about conversions. What you should be worried about is creating enough traction on that channel that the channel has authority. And then maybe in 5% of those videos, they could be more like sales conversion focused, right? You're creating a home for your sales and conversion focused stuff to live, and you're creating another place that you can publish for your prospective clients. So does that make sense? Anybody that gave me a 5, does that help you connect the dots a little bit more? Because that's the most obvious way that you can monetize this. Outside of that, I mean, having a brand, building content by itself is actually its own thing. It could be its own entire business in the box, which maybe is not something you want to engage in, by the way. And if not, that's okay. You might say, yeah, I don't care about being a content creator. It doesn't even make sense to me. Like, and if that's you, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Like this channel doesn't make sense for a lot of you, probably. For some of you, you're like, yes, I've wanted to make a channel like that, because you understand that it could basically turn you into a faceless influencer. But a lot of you would be better off making something that's focused on supporting other business ventures you're involved. And if that's the case, then that's a perfectly good way to do it. Now, another thing you could do, let me give you another idea for a channel, by the way. Let me give you another idea for a channel. Another thing that'll be really interesting is just interesting facts about business leaders, interesting facts about famous businesses, interesting facts about, like, all of that stuff is really good. That's another kind of channel I'm thinking about creating. Kind of let the cat out of the bag. I thought, man, what if I took, like, interesting, inspiring stories about that are surprising, or surprising facts about, people who are really famous innovators and people who are really famous entrepreneurs. I think that could have tons of viral traction. I think that appeals to a really broad audience. And I think it's a little more niche specific into the kinds of people I'm going after. Right. So I think, and if you get in with ChatGPT, you could probably come up with 100 other ideas. But all right, so we'll move on from there. But I just want to make sure that all made sense. Robert is saying, I'm trying to get traction on the media sites. This will help if I keep the branding connection to the two. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could put all these videos on that site. You could put all these videos on the site, and you 100% could brand them the same way. The channel can be branded however you want. The channel can be branded however you want. You could literally, if you've got another project, you could definitely do that. But when you're creating the content, that's where you have to think in a broader way. You cannot just get niched down into, like, stuff that is promotional. This is not promotional content, guys. This isn't for that. That's not what this is. This is entertainment. This is the entertain. Like, if you guys think about, one of the things you teach a strategic marketer is the recipe strategy, right? This is like the entertainment piece of the recipe strategy. Why is it important? Well, it's ridiculously important because it gets people's attention. And then when you have someone's attention, when they're watching every reel you've got, then you're getting other messages in front of them. So. Yeah, you can use social covers for the YouTube image. I just used ideogram because I was just doing it all at once. But yeah, 100%. Now, like on mine, depending on your screen size, you see different parts of this. It's just like a wall, but I like the way it looks. I like the fact that it's cut off and you can still kind of tell who it is, right? But it's not, it's not perfect. I like it that way. So this, to me, it's aesthetically appealing. Yeah, anybody who posts a channel like this, so post your channel, post your first video for your Faceless YouTube channel. Now, if you've already started a channel, can you leverage it for this? You could refocus it, but if it's full of junk, I would suggest not. Right? If it's full of stuff, what I mean by junk is like, if it's not specifically focused on a super niche, if it's just like a wide variety of content that doesn't relate to this, start a new channel. Because you've already trained the algorithm the wrong direction and you're gonna have to play catch up. You just want to start from square one like everybody else. Does that make sense? And use the other channel for something else. Yeah, the Strategic Marketer Insiders group. If you don't have that group, just ask support to give it to you. But you got to send a message to David Strategic right here. That's the only way to get in. If you don't see it, when you type it in, it's because it's a secret group, but we'll get you in there. Yeah, no, you can't post on David Strategic. You have to friend David Strategic and send him a message that says, hey, I need inside the Insiders group because we're going to use the Insiders group for this class that I'm doing with the Faceless channels. And so please add me. This is my email I'm using, right? And they will add you in. All right, so we're getting started. I wonder if our first video's up, guys. Our first video's up. All right, guys. Here's that channel link again. Go watch the video, check it out, see what you think. Go create your channels. And basically the first video is going to cost less than 300 credits. So I'm giving you, I'm going to cover your first video and more just for making the first one. But, and if you have questions about how to use YouTube, go ask ChatGPT. In fact, if you ever have questions about how to use something like that, always go ask ChatGPT because it will tell you. It's very easy. We will have a replay up for this tomorrow. We'll guys let you know. We'll send you an email. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. What do you think? Is this making sense? Give me some feedback. Where are you guys at on this journey? Do you feel like you're getting the gist? Do you feel totally confused? A 10 if you're like excited, you get the gist, you're ready to roll. A 1 if you're totally confused, you feel like Aaron, you've left me here in confusion land. And a 5 if you're somewhere in the middle. I just want to kind of know where you guys are at. We have a lot more to get through. Not trying to make money with it yet. No, I know. We'll get there. All right. All right, guys, we'll get there. We have lots more to cover. We're just starting. So much more to do. Go look at other channels that are having a ton of success and find the channel you think makes sense to copy, that you want to mimic. Go create your own, create your first video. And let me share this Google AI Studio conversation with everyone before we go. This conversation is in Google AI Studio. You can see everything I told Google AI Studio to create that video that we have now shared, which is right here. And go check it out. Brand new channel, right? We'll see how it does. All right, guys, we'll be back same time, same place next week. See you then. Bye-bye for now.